We've officially wrapped up the first day of action at the 2025 IBJJF No-Gi Championship, and we were kicking things off with the brown belts and the blue belts. Reed, go ahead, let's talk about what's the biggest thing that stood out to you today from day one of action.
I think Michael Pixley kind of stole the show today. I believe he went 3 for 3 submissions. Had a couple of those, just vintage Michael Pixley 30-second Darce choke submissions where he just kind of throws the guy to the ground and just yanks on his head until the guy taps. And so he was a lot of fun to watch. Of course, he had an incredible run there through the super heavyweight division, right?
That's right, super heavyweight this time around.
Yeah, so he looked fantastic. A lot of stuff happened in that kind of brown belt division, but I feel like you got to talk a little bit about what happened maybe in the ultra heavyweight and then in the absolute division.
Yeah, so keeping it on the men's side, the ultra heavyweight, it came down to a final between Nick Hartman and Brandon Reed. I feel like this is kind of a final that people could expect, two super high level dudes, guys we've seen to be super successful across the board in the jiu-jitsu world, but it came down to a final situation where Brandon Reed asked the referee if he got the 2 points and got DQ'd for talking to the ref. You can't talk to the ref in IBJJF. Like, you kind of got to know that.
It was about 45 seconds left. Brandon had already been hit with a couple penalties for stalling. So he was already kind of up on penalties, 2 penalties. He was trying to get a takedown to tie up the score. He was winning on advantages. 45 seconds left. He drove Nicholas Hartman out of bounds and just had a lapse of judgment, talked to the referee.
And so Nick Hartman ended up getting the win off the DQ, got the gold in ultra heavyweight. And now listen, I know that left a bad taste in his mouth. I know that's not how a guy like Nick Hartman wants to go out there and capture his No-Gi Pan's gold. So he decided to enter the absolute, ran through the division, and got his second gold of the day in the men's brown belt absolute. He wanted to solidify that he's that guy. It wasn't a fluke. He deserves to take home a little hardware from No-Gi Pan.
And then just jumping over to the women's side of things, of course, brown belt women went along today, and there's definitely some great performances there. But one that really highlighted to me was Emily Leyva, from Atos Jiu-Jitsu. She's been having a really big year, I feel like, and a submission machine out there. She goes out there and seems to find the submission in the last kind of like 30 seconds of every one of her matches.
Kind of her thing.
Yeah, kind of her thing. But I think Emily Leyva looked really, incredible out there. Had a big win. Congrats to her on the gold medal. Anybody else standing out to you?
Yeah. So 2 matches, 2 submissions for Emily, both late in the match, like you said, less than 30 seconds left. But another female who kind of stood out, I thought, was Cindy Ung. Cindy Ung had 4 matches, 2 submissions. She ended up beating Lauren Sears in the final on points. But I just thought she looked great the whole time. I know she's also been competing on finishers, been kind of competing in that East Coast regional scene, going through a lot of brackets, getting a lot of submissions. So she ended up taking home gold in the women's brown belt featherweight division. Great performance from her. And then another one we got to talk about, Hannah Griffith.
Yeah, Hannah Griffith looked fantastic. Austin's own trains right here at Kingsway Jiu-Jitsu with John Danaher and the whole crew. Obviously an incredible gym that she comes out of, and she really put on a lot of what those guys do. She put it on display there. I think she had maybe three matches. And then in the finals there, she was able to find the back and get the rear naked choke finish. So big props to her as well. Another gold medal for the Kingsway camp. Another guy I wanted to shout out actually too is Marlon Tajik. We've been watching him a lot recently, and he had a very impressive performance at the ADCC European Trials, taking home the 3rd place. But this time he came away with the gold. 4 matches, I believe, 4 submissions. One of the most impressive performances of the tournament. I think Atos is having a really, really good tournament, to be honest. And Marlon Tajik is one of these guys who is just lightning quick and super fun to watch.
Another sub-hunter and another Kingsway athlete we got to bring up, Placido Santos. Placido entered the men's heavyweight, ended up getting the finish in the final to take home gold there. Whenever you compete for Kingsway, when you're out of this camp, winning gold isn't quite just enough. You got to get hopefully all subs along the way, or at least in the final, kind of putting your stamp on it there in the final, getting the submission. And Placido did just that, took home some heavyweight gold.
Grayson Henley from Austin, Texas, right up the street. He trains at Brazilian Fight Factory. He used to train with the Tackets and stuff like that. But I've known Grayson since he was a green belt, or at least been watching him since he was a green belt. So awesome to see Grayson Henley still throwing down out there and getting some victories. And I believe he won brown belt featherweight. But we've got to talk about the female absolute winner as well. So Trey, give a little breakdown on who won that.
Yeah, in the female absolute this year, we saw Greta Notaro come through and get the gold. She ended up losing. She took bronze in her division, the women's heavyweight, the same division that Hannah Griffith won. But this time she came back in the absolute, made it to the final, ended up securing the armbar finish to win the women's brown belt absolute. And you know, it wasn't all brown belts today. So let's talk a little bit about the blue belt absolute champions. Who ended up taking it for men's blue belt?
So it was actually Vlad Dragomir, which is a cool name. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but it sounds really, really cool. He sounds like he's like kind of a Viking warrior. And actually saw he lost his final. So he made it to the final, I believe, of the super heavy weight class at blue belt, and you know, dropped the finals match, got the silver medal, and again was a guy who wasn't satisfied with that, came back, clawed back through the absolute division, beat some ultra heavyweights in there as well, and got the gold. So big shout out to Vlad for winning the blue belt open class. You know, obviously big things ahead for him.
And in the women's blue belt absolute, we saw Natasha Dillon take home the gold, but not just one. She got the old 2-for-1 special. She ended up winning the heavyweight division, coming back, winning the absolute. So that's 2 gold medals for her, the double champ at women's blue belt. Always incredible feat to not just win your division, but then come back and win the absolute as well. So shout out to Natasha Dillon.
Yeah, and just taking a look real quick at the kind of team standings here at the end of day 1. Obviously, we have day 2 and day 3. A lot of jiu-jitsu left. So we're going to see a lot of these teams kind of shuffle around, of course, but I just wanted to give a quick update on where we are at the end of day 1 here with the team scores. So for the adult men category, we've got Atos Jiu-Jitsu in number 1. We've got Pedigo Submission Fighting in number 2. And of course, we've got Zenith BJJ out there, Robert Drysdale representing in the number 3 spot for the adult male category. In the adult female category, we've got Unity Jiu-Jitsu in number 1. They always bring a great squad local to the area, so glad to see that those guys are doing well. We've got Risk BJJ in that number 2 slot, and then Henzo Gracie Academy rounding out the top 3 for that adult female. So obviously, like I said, a lot of jiu-jitsu left to go here. The black belts take to the mats tomorrow, so a lot of these teams are going to be shuffling around quite a bit and everything like that, but at least at the end of day 1 here, you've got Atos Jiu-Jitsu and Unity Jiu-Jitsu kind of holding down that number 1 spot for the team race in both the men and women categories.
Well, there you go. Hopefully you guys are a little updated on anything you might have missed from day 1 here at the No-Gi Pans. Still a whole lot of great jiu-jitsu to go on. The black belts kick off tomorrow. They'll be going all the way through Sunday, and the purple belts are going to be mixed in there throughout, so make sure you guys watch it all on FloGrappling.com.